Hi guys, last time we built a project which is from the scratch, which is you can edit, delete, for instance, like this one. And then now we're gonna build a task inside the project, which is inside the project we can build a multiple task. For instance, in here we have a project, we have a form of the task, we can create a task 1 for instance, and then you can click on progress status, or you can make a new task which is, for instance, cleaning kitchen, and then you can put to do and create, and then it will automatically created in here instead of refreshing the page inside the project. Okay, so let's dive deep in on how we can do that in the Hotwire Ruby on Rails 7. Here I'm gonna create another branch, which is, I'm gonna say git checkout /b, which is create a new branch, which is, I have a branch here which is the main. So I'm gonna create another branch. So what is happen if we made a mistake, so we still have the old branch, which is the old code that we have, meaning in the working codes. Okay, so for now you will create a new branch, which is during the development, if you're working as a team, you can make a different branch. Okay, so but in this case we will be focusing using on how we can make in Ruby on Rails using the Hotwire. Okay, so dev, let's say task. I'm just gonna call dev task, so meaning the development, and I'm gonna make a features of the project, which is the task. So now I have in here. So what I'm gonna do is let's create a model, which is we call it let's put resource. So it will create also the view, and then it will create a controller and the model. So we have the whole informations, and then we can start from that instead of building one by one. So but this is different than the scaffold, because the scaffold is creating you the functionality, resource is creating you a folder that you can start on. So here Rails G resource, and then I will put task, and then we will add in the task in the model. We can call it a, I think, body. We can do that, body. So default is the string, and then we can have the status, which is, we can default the string also, and then we can put a reference, and then is that the right spelling, reference, and then we will put the reference to the project, because in the project you have a multiple task that you can use. So I'm gonna hit enter in here, and then it will create you a folder and also the model. So references, I think this is references. So for now, let's leave out, then we can put in the reference on the schema. So I don't know why it is unknown to generate a field on references, because this is must be a reference. Let's put in here, let's say a string, if it will be acceptable. So it's still not acceptable. So what I'm gonna do is to create here a string. So here we have the a migration, which is created task, so we will add the reference, so it will belongs to the project. But I'm not really sure if we can use in the resource the reference, but I'm sure on that one, so I will check that later. And then here we have the model, which is the task, which is we created the task, and then we have a controller that we can use, and we have the task which is inside the view, and then we have also the task that we can use in the future, and then we have a resources, which is the task that belongs to the project. So what I'm gonna do is to check here our created task. So what I'm gonna do here is to add a reference, I think references, and then we will add in here, let me remove this one, let me reference to the project, because that's our table, the project. And then we will add here the null, which is false, and then we will add a foreign key, which is true. Let me check if that is the right how do you call it, right spelling. So we have a foreign key, let me pause. Okay, I think we need to put in here underscore, so I think this one is good now. Then we have a body, we have the status, we have a timestamp, and then this is our schema. So here we're gonna make a migration, so Rails DB migrate, and then once it's done, it will create a migration for us. So here we can see in our migration. Let's go back in here, and then let's go to migration, the schema. So we have a task, and we have the integer, which is the reference. We have here the index going to the project ID. We have the body, we have the status, we have the created that we can use when it is created. Okay, I think we are settled in, and yeah, we have here the foreign key task project. And then now I will go to the task, and then I will say here belongs to project, and then the project, I will go open the project, and then I will say the project the project has many tasks. So if you put has many, just make it sure always to put a plural, because it says it's many tasks. Okay, and so here we have belongs, so I think we are settled in. And now we have here the task. So what we're gonna do first is go to the project controller, and then on the project controller we already created the index, we have the new, and what else, we need a show. So in the show we will create a yeah, let's def show, and then end, because in the project, inside the project, we will add, and inside the project the multiple tasks. So what we're gonna do is to create a show. So once you click the project, then it will go to show, it will open to you the project itself. So here I will check the project. So in the project here we have in the project, so this is the one, and then we have the content. Okay, in the content we will add here the link, so link to, and then we will add in here, I think we can do like this, and then Ruby tag, so it will print the name, and then we can say let us look on the path. So Rails routes /g, so I'm gonna look on the project itself so we can see the route like what we discussed last time. So this is the path that we are looking for, which is the project. We will look in the specific project, so we will use the show. So here we will be adding the path, which is the show, then we will put path, and then we will add the closing tag, which is we will call, hey, in a specific project path, this is the ID, so we'll use the project which is from this one, from the ID, the DOM. So for instance, you have a project 1, project 2, project 3, so it will take the specific project ID. So now I will add here, I'm gonna put a class, I think let's just put btn, and let's see how it's gonna look like, or maybe nublink, and then we will say here that the data, because in Hotwire, what's gonna happen if we didn't put the, I think the turbo false, what's gonna happen is when you click that one, it will look inside the page. So to prevent that, because if we didn't add that one, what's gonna happen is it will not redirect to specific project. So what we're gonna do here is to add a turbo, I think that's turbo false. Let's look later. So I think this is wrong, this is a project, not projects. So if I will go here, yeah, that's correct, that's our path. Now what I'm gonna do is to start our server, and then I will pull out our then I will get localhost, and let's see if we click this one, what's gonna happen. So we have a missing show in the template, which is given because we didn't put any show on the when you say template in Ruby on Rails, it is looking for a template, meaning the file of a specific HTML or HTML.erb. So here there's no show in the project, so what we're gonna do is to add a show in the project. So we will add here show.html.erb. Then from here we need to print a, how do you call it, the project itself, the informations, and then from that we will add also the form of the task. So what I'm gonna do now is to make it fast. I will copy paste what we have in the last project that we made. I think there's a template from that. I will look in here, so it's still in here. Okay, so I'm gonna put in here. So what's going to happen is I will just add it here, another HTML. Let's say div.empty 5. Okay, so I'm gonna put in here. So what's going to happen is once I click the show, it will arrive that you have a, how do you call it, you can go back to the project, so to multiple project, and then we have a notification which is we can put on the top. We can use that in the features, or in the future, sorry. And then here we will be adding a project, which is the project itself that we have, then specific. So let's see how it does look like. So here we have, it says we have a nil or not implemented partial. So what we're gonna do here is to go to the project and then look on what is going on the project at project. So okay, so what's going to happen here is we don't have a before action that we set the ID, so that's why the error is, it says it's nil active compatible object. So what we're gonna do here is to show is that correct? Okay, so we can put the show in here. Let's somewhere in show and then let's try to refresh. So we have now let me refresh this one. So we have now here, once you go back to the project, let's say I will create a project 2, and then I click project 2, project 3, and then I want to go to project 2 specific, and then this is project 2, and then here we will create a task. So we can have in the project, you have a multiple task like what we are discussing here. Also you can do edit and you can vote it still, and you can delete, so you can just reuse that one, the simple how do you call it, logic or informations. So here we will add a form for the task. So what I'm gonna do first is to look on the routing. So here the routes, here we have a resource project. So this is our task. Let's put the task in here. So because we have a project, and that project underneath of that is the task, so we will add the resources or the routes. So you can see here that you have a project, then you can have a task. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is to create, so we have now the task. So what we're gonna do is to create a form. Let's go to form first, task. So I'm gonna make a form in here and inside the task. So I will say, I think we can say only form. Is that, yeah, that's form.html.erb. And then here, what I'm gonna do is to pull out the documentation. So for instance, if you forgot something, like sometimes I do forgot, and what you can do is just look on the API documentations or in Rails or Ruby, so you can remember what it's all about. So what we're gonna do is to create a form, which is form with. We will create a model. We have a model which is we can reference as a project because the project has many tasks. And then what we're gonna do is we can use this one because this is another part of the, how do you call it, the routing. So you have a project, and then on that project we can use, say, task.new. So in that form we can create our task inside the project. So I'm gonna copy paste this one, and then let's go in here and then paste in here. And then what I'm gonna do is to say project, and then I will say this is task, and then and then this one we can just say F, just to make it simple. And then here we will be adding a little layout. So let's say what we're gonna do is to add a between. So we're gonna put here, we're gonna say card, and then we can say card body, and then we can say here the div that we can say here is tflex. I think we don't need the tflex here because we have the body. Like, let's just make it simple, and here let's say f, which is we have here the f, and we can say here because we have a body, text area, we can say text area, and then here body, and we will call it class, which is form control, I think. Okay, and then maybe we can put the color here, bg secondary, and then here we will be adding a status, so we can what is that, select, yeah, select, and then I think we can use this one, select a status, and then we can have an array here, which is you can have a to do, and then we can have in here a on progress, and then we have here the completed. Actually, you can save also, you can create another, let's say, category, and then you can input the category, like you can customize the to do on progress, or what you can do is you can do also, we can do in the future the stimulus, and then you can just customize the array in here. Okay, so completed. So I think that was it, and then we will be adding a submit button, which is submit, and then yeah, we can put submit for now, and then in show we can reference this one. So what we're gonna do is to create a div, and then we can say content. Can we make it that content empty 4, so we have n space, and then we can be 2 space down, and then we can call that one the task. So we're gonna call now the form to the task, so here. So what we're gonna do is render, and then I think you don't need a partial for that, and then you can say task, and then you can say form, and then what we're gonna do is I think we need a local, which is we're gonna say task, yeah, that's task, and then add task. Okay, and then from that what we can do is, yeah, I think that was it. Let me check, let me see the error so we can see it. So it says here we have the project encounter error. It says in here that syntax error while rendering the template. So let's see the form, and then we have here the task new submit. So we have the submit button. Do we have a missing in here? Oh yeah, this one, I forgot this one, and then refresh. So we have now our task in here, so you can start, you can create a task inside the project. So this is our project and this is our task, and then let's make it nice. Why it is not showing the right, I think the color is secondary, or yeah, secondary primary. It's kind of ugly. So let's pull out, we can check on the get bootstrap the color, because we are using the bootstrap from get bootstrap. So we can say here the light, so it's more nice. We can say here light, yeah, it's a little nice. So what we're gonna do is go back again in our code, and then we can say light. Okay, so I think we have the form, and then what we're gonna do next is to ensure that, how do you call it, once we click this one, it will throw an error message, or if this is empty, it will require a field. So for me, the best way to do that is, especially for the user, is to just create in the form, you can just say this will be a required. So required, I think it's true, yeah. And then what's gonna happen is, let's refresh. If I click this one, it will ask you please fill in this field, so it's easy. And for the user also, instead of waiting for, how do you call it, what is the specific error, but it's only one field So before it passed to save, it will throw an error, hey, please fill in this field. Or yeah, we can customize like what we did here in the project, like throwing error in here. But I think in this case in our projects, just to make it simple, just throw like this. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is to create a, once we created a task, it will save, and then it will go to down part in here. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to the how do you call it, controller. So we have a controller here. I will create here the def create, and then I will say and I will create a private, also private method, and then I will say def what we're gonna say is project ID, and then and so what first thing we need to do is to say, hey project, I want to look first what is the parameter of our project. I think we can use here project project.id. We will be adding a ID that I think ID params, and then we will be adding here, I think this is wrong, ID here, and then we can call it ID params. That then we can say, hey, we can look on the first project that we have in here, and then I think we need to add here also the symbol, and then we will call it in the before it is happen, before it is create, we will say, hey, before actions you need to look on the project ID, and then the project ID you can say, hey, I'm gonna do a create, and then from that I will say I need to create a add task, and then we can say add project. So we already have in here, so I think we need to add a, yeah, we need to add a task, and then from that we can say build, and then we will need to add a task params, and then from the task params we will say if add task that save is what gonna happen is we can say flash, we can say notice that is successful. You can use that once we enhance our code, task successfully created. Okay, and then if it's not, and then if it's successfully created, it will be redirect to what we're gonna do is to the project, and then path which is at project. Okay, so we can insert that one, and then else we can say, hey, flash alert, and then we can say here is task not been created. Task has not been created, or yeah, and then we say can just render to the project that show, and then we can say and then from here, since we created a task params, or I think we can check if we still needed this one or not, so to clean the code later, def, and then we can say a task params, and then end, and then I will say here params that we need to permit the task, and then from the task we can say sorry, this is required. We are kind of so fast. Required, and then this one will be a permit. We need to permit the specific, we use body, and then we use the status. So in this case, once we created a task inside the project, which is it will build a task inside the project, and then from here we will look, okay, task params, and then it will save in here, and that it will require the model, which is the task, and then it will look on the task, okay, what kind of field that I need to store the records that you input. So I will store to the body and the status, and what is done, it will go, if it's saved, and it will say, hey, this is a task successfully created, but we will not gonna look that for now. We will focus on how we can create the data using the streaming of the Hotwire inside the project, and then from once it's saved, we will do a redirect to the project path again, and then show the, how do you call it, the task that we created. So what I'm gonna do now is, I think we need to copy paste this one, the project, and then we will say, hey, I want to broadcast this specific task to the inside the task. So what we're gonna do here is to, after create and destroy, because we will use that later or next episode that we can say, hey, you need to broadcast to the task this one. So we have all the information updated as a Hotwire, or yeah, we can say WebSocket. Here when we are in the show, so this is the one. So what we're gonna do is to copy paste this one, copy paste again, because we are using the stream, so we just repeating and repeating. So but of course it depends on the project, or it depends what you want to do on that project. So what we're gonna do here is to stream on what we have on the task, and then from here we can say, hey, I want to print the task that you created. So but for now we don't have in here. So if I click this one, let's say if I click test project, and then I will say on progress, and then once I click, nothing is happening. So why? But if you look on our, how do you call it, in our logs, you can see here that is yeah, looking to the ID, but it says it cannot find, so we can look that later. And then it says here it showed the HTML and the parameter, and then nothing is going on. So let's see what is, we see here is could not find the project ID. I think we have something wrong that we made on the task controller. So if I will go back again to task controller, maybe we made it pass. So what we're gonna do here is project, we need to find, I think this is wrong, we need to where. So we will look on the specific project ID, and then we will call it, and then we will insert to create. So what we're gonna do here, it's, let's try. So here we start, and then project 01, task 1 Monday for instance, and then we can do on progress. And when I created, so it will throw an error. What it's saying is missing the template of the task. So now it's asking to us, hey, there's no task in here, there's no template. So what we're gonna do here is to create a task in here. So this is what we're gonna do, is like this project. So when it is saved, it will look, okay, this is the task that I created, but here the error is, hey, where's the template that I'm gonna throw, and then I need to broadcast to that. So what we're gonna do is to create a task in here, call it task, because HTML.erb, and then from here we can copy paste this one actually, and then we can say here, hey, we just need to change here the task. And then from here we can we do like this one to make it remove. Let's remove for now. Let's remove this for now. We can use that also. We can use this also in the futures. So in the future, and then here what we're gonna do is to print what we did on the body. So we have the task, which is the body, and then we have also a status. We can make a small, and then you can say here the task status, and then we have here, I think, yeah, small, and then from here we can see our what we created. And then here if I click refresh, and then here it's nothing happening yet, but if I look on the logs, so I think it's not saving it, but this is streaming. But let's look on the logs if we have a, let me go back, let's go back to clear cd tutorial clear. Let's go to our project test, so project Hotwire, and then here we can say Rails C, which is we need to access the database or the console, say task.all. So yeah, I think we created a task, but we didn't print it yet. So what we're gonna do here is to call the task show, we end the show on the project, and then I'll say here turbo. So we will use the turbo frame tag, and then we call it task, and then do, and then end, and then from here we will render the task. I think that is Yeah, and maybe we can just use this one inside the project controller. And oh, we have the show in here. We can say, hey, a task equals to add project, the task. So you have in the project you have a many tasks. So here we can say we have a show in here. I think that was it. Let me see. Yeah, so we have here the task which is Monday on progress. So we can say task 2. We can say on to do, though that is what I need to do. And then yeah, let's look if it is streaming properly. So we have here the turbo frame, we have the task, we have the task 1, task 2, and then if you go back here, so we have the notification here. We will align that once we build the whole project. So if I go back here to the project, so you can see here, I think you can see here, this is the task. So we have the project 2, we don't have the task yet, so it's correct, task 2 for project 2, and then I will create says on, then that is the task 2 project 2. So it's still on progress. So what I'm gonna do here is to add a little, make it what we're gonna do here is to add at least some other, I think once we created add, we can add some, yeah, created add. So we can add in here on the small part. So we can say here, I think we can say time ago. It's the time ago. Let me pull out what my other on the time ago. Yeah, I think you can see in here time ago. Time ago in words. So we will use this one. So what I'm gonna do is to copy paste this one. So time ago, it means once you created the task, it will say, hey, this is created, let's say 3 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago. So that's the good thing on that one. So we can read exactly when it's created. So did I copy paste that one? Yeah. So here I will go in here, and then I will say, okay, I will use the task and then created at. So remember, we created here in the schema that we have, we created the task, and then from that we have created at. So once you created a task, it will give you a timestamp, which is, this is what we created on the timestamp, and then it will pass to the created at, and then we have a record in the database that when it is created and when it is updated. So if you will look in here, yeah, I think it's already in here. So we have in here created at Friday, this is the time, and so on. So yeah, so now let's see how it's look like. Okay, so 2 minutes ago I will create again project task me, and then I will say this is completed, just an example. So this was created less than a minute ago. So yeah, I think that was it for now. And then if we will look again to let's say I will pull out my Safari here, and then in Safari we can see here if it is streaming properly. So if I will go here in the project 2, and then I have here project 01 task to cook tomorrow, for instance, then click in here, and then you have a task to cook tomorrow, and then last time we need to go. So next time we're gonna build also here, we will include the search button that you can search, and we can filter only first the specific if it's to do, and then the last part is the completed, and then we will add here the edit. We can delete also the task, and then inside the task we can build a forum or chat, and then what else, we're gonna build a user interface. So user interface I meant is that you can log in, register on this project, and yeah, maybe in the future we will add also to add that you can assign to the task the specific user. And then yeah, we can build a lot of stuff using the Hotwire to make it simple, just a simple coding. And yeah, I think that was it for now, and I'll see you in the next video, which is we will add the functionality that we can edit the tasks inside the project, and then at the same time yeah, we can add some other features of the Hotwire. Okay, thank you so much, and have a good weekend, and yeah, success with your, how do you call it, we call it success in the Netherlands. yeah, good luck to your watching the video, and I hope you can subscribe, and so I can create some other content also. It helped me to motivate the coding to help other people so they can learn also. Okay, thank you so much, and see you then.